Hi, I think I'm ready to start, if y'all are. Okay, so for those of you who don't know me, my name is Jean Walsh, and I'm the Saltillo consultant, and I'm actually live right outside of Denver, Colorado, and I come here once a month or once every other month. It's kind of depends on my schedule and what's going on everywhere else. So, but if anytime you need me, you should all have my contact information, so you can call at any time, and I'll plan trips if it's something, you know, if somebody needs a training with a new device or something. So that's me. What we're going to do today is achieving authentic communication with AAC. It's not geared totally to the NovaChat or to WordPower or anything like that. It's really about implementation with any kind of core language type of vocabulary file that you're using. Any type of device, iPad, whatever. So just, there's handouts. Hope everybody got them. The note page is first, and then there's some other ones, and you might have to dig through when we're going through this. There's activities to do along the way, and I don't think those correspond necessarily to the way we're using them. And this is not my per se presentation. I was part of making it, but it's not totally mine, so I can't give out the entire slideshow. But if you want certain slides that you see, then you can just request them. There's a place to write down on the front one, and then you can just email me and say you want to see these certain slides. That's fine. And so it'd be good, I think, if we all sort of just went around and say our name, maybe what our role is, what we do as far as AAC is concerned in our school district or home life or whatever, and then what you hope to gain from this training. So would you mind starting?
She's our 18. My name is Cindy Question, and I'm a speech pathologist with the disabilities. And I'm on our assistive technology team, and I've always wanted to learn more. I'm especially and I would like to use this for my so if I have an opportunity to help any other. I'm from UATT, and I am also a university administrator, and I'm a speech pathologist. The majority of my caseloads with more skills about students. lots of students that we see during that lesson. So this would be good training.
My name is Shanae Jackson, and I'm from Tulip School District. And I see have a lot of life skill classes, and I'm passionate.
So Julius, I'm Megan Powell, and I'm the first district speech therapist, and I also am on the Assistive team. And I thought those on the using Assistive, using AC classes and so on. So I'm happy for so we're just trying to I'm not really good
I'm Andrew Freeman. I work for the Assistive Technology and I also do some work for the Assistive Voice.
Okay. Good. Keep going. So this is our agenda. So we're just going to talk about communication, what is authentic communication, the functions of it, communication partners, environments, and then creating opportunities, and then other tips and tools. If you have questions along the way, just stop and ask me, please. It's probably be the best. Just jump in. It's fine. So authentic communication is just communication. It's real. It's genuine. And it really needs to be more than requesting and labeling. It needs to be spontaneous, have the ability to be spontaneous, unique, efficient, and it allows people to connect with others around you. That is really the definition from Janice Light and others. A lot of this, the quotes I'm going to give you are Janice Light. That was really a lot of the research, a lot of the new research, especially with young kids with AAC. So there is a list in your packet that has the resources, but you can ask me later if you want to know exactly who it was that said that. So let's look at this guy. He's a 61-year-old post-stroke man. He's living in an assisted living facility. He got a device. After a few weeks, he was able to use the device, state his name, age, and other personal information. So the question is this successful implementation? So that's what he is able to do with the device and only after a few weeks. So the people that work with him, the staff, they all said yes, that was successful implementation. That was their goal that they had down, was the device was for exchange of information. Now, when people asked him what he thought about it, he said no, okay? Because he said that he really wanted, oops, I'll go to the next slide, that he really wanted to do more than that. He's living in assisted living. People know him, right? He doesn't really need to give his name and stuff with it. He can carry a card to do that. And what he really wanted to do was talk with his grandkids. He really wanted social closeness. That's what he was looking for. So to really find out what authentic communication is, you really need to find out from the client or the client's family. That's really who's going to be able to do this. This just happened with a consultant down in Florida. So she goes to this school. There's a little girl on there that has the NovaChat, and she's on the NovaChat 30. And she's using it, and the consultant goes in and shows the team member the 60 language, just to show that, oh, this is our new language and we really like it. Nancy Inman wrote it and we think it's really good. And so she's showing her all this stuff, and all of a sudden she looks over and the little girl has typed out, you can't really see it, but on her device right there it says, please, I use. So her, that's her authentic stuff. She really wanted a lot more language. She's the one who could see the difference between having more pictures on there and more words for her to be able to say. So what's real really needs to be real for the client. Yeah?
I've always understood that we should start out with a couple of
I think that using a couple is going to limit your ability to model, and I think most of the research is really showing that modeling is one of your best ways to teach. So, and also you want to make sure that you have the memory recall going on. So if you start off with just like 4 buttons and then you add 4 more and then you add 4 more, the device is changing every time. So it's going to be really hard for them to remember. And also, if you're dealing with somebody who has cognitive delays, you're going to have the deepness going down. When you have 10 squares on there and you want to find cookie, you might have to go 3 pages deep, where if you had 60 on there. Now, there's ways that you can do this, and you can do this probably on every machine, is to hide buttons. So you can start off with fewer buttons by hiding, and then you can add to it that way. But if you want to be able to add on, if they're at a 1 word and they're saying cookie, and you want to add on I want cookie, you're going to be modeling that for them. So you're going to have that ability to do that, and just expecting them to say cookie, but you're going to add on the I want. Is there any other? We'll get to a lot more of that. That's kind of what this whole thing's about. But good question. So communication is really about the people. It's not the computer technology. It's not what AAC system you're using. It is really about the person. The device isn't the one that's going to really do the talking. It's the people there. So the device really is the tool that's going to make the communication work, along with a lot of other things, right? So with that, we need to figure out the functions of communication, the environment that we're in, and the communication partners. And that's sort of the meat of this. So the functions of communication is just why we are communicating. What is the reason that we all communicate, right? That's the same for everybody. Everybody communicates for the same reasons. Those of you who, are speech paths, you probably did a lot of this in school. Other people, you just need to think about, why am I talking? And that's what we're going to get on. Like right now, I'm relaying information, right? So that's my function in doing this. So it's not, this is, it was cited in Janice Light's stuff, but it's by some other people. This is actually written down there. It's not sufficient for individuals just to be able to request. Something I've been sort of harping on lately is that buying a communication device, spending $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, that's a really expensive choice board. Don't do it, right? Don't use it just for that. Don't have your state money or insurance money buy that. So you need to do a lot more than just requesting. You need to try to have people build relationships with peers. It should help them learn at school. It should help them share experiences on the job, manage their health care, and to be able to participate totally as full citizens in the society. And all of this, of course, I'm talking about to their ability and their desires, right? So some people, just like all of us in the world, not only people with learning disabilities, but all of us have different, amounts of communication that we want to do, that you should have the ability to do it. So the functions of communication, communicating your wants and needs, exchanging information, developing social closeness, and fulfilling social etiquette. Communicating wants and needs is more than just requesting. It's also directing people. We'll get into that, but there's more steps to that. Exchanging information, that's kind of what we do a lot of at school. Developing social closeness, talking to people, that's the most unpredictable one. So it's probably the hardest one to set up your routines to get to practice and model about, right? But it's still, that's where maybe you need more pre-programmed, because it's really hard to know what the next thing is going to happen. For the rest of this, we're going to develop social closeness and fulfill social etiquette together, because putting those manners in and getting your closeness can work together. We're just going to have 3 groups. So communicating your wants and needs, the most basic one, the one that is really usually the easiest to start with, because you get something for it, right? You're requesting something and you get it. So that's no, that's okay. I can just turn my computer sound up.
Maybe it might go through the.
What's that?
Where's your headset?
Is it there or else it's up front? Oh.
No?
Here, maybe it's just. Maybe I'm wrong.
Is that on the other side? I'm sorry. No, I think that was it. Let me mute.
Okay, so that's requesting objects, things, right? Other things to do is request activities, request permission, requesting attention, requesting help. Those are all part of communicating wants and needs. Directing an action and direct to stop. So we'll see her. Oops.
Whenever it was time for me to turn the page, I want you to say go. Okay? Oh, sure thing.
Okay. So she's directing an action. Okay, so exchanging information. That's another function of communication. Asking questions.
Is it ready yet?
So the therapist was trying to model. Did you see that? And actually the therapist hit it, right? And the girl was like, what? Is it ready yet? So asking a question, exchanging information, relaying past events. If I just share and show objects, discussing events, answering questions, stating personal information, opinions. This is all exchanging information. Drew is one.
Hey, my name is Miss Nikki. What is your name? Oh, can you tell me again? Okay, I didn't get it. So then what would you do? Okay, I'm back. Yeah.
My name is Drew.
Oh, Drew. Nice to meet you. Well, like I said, my name's Miss Nikki. Yeah. Where do you go to school? At middle school? What's the name of your middle school? Didn't quite get that.
I go to school at Freeburg Middle School.
Freeburg. Oh. I think we might have Freeburg. Yeah. Can you say it? Well, thank you. Freeburg. Would you like to ask us a couple questions? Good. Okay. Well, who are you going to ask? Miss Nikki, Mrs. Richard, Man. No. I'm going to ask Amanda. Okay. Okay. And then this is your information, and then up here are the social questions. Yep. And you're asking Miss Amanda? Yeah. Okay. What are you going to ask her?
Where do you go to?
Where do I go to school? I don't go to school anymore. I graduated.
She's all finished with school. Okay, so maybe I think she probably has a job now.
What kind of work do you do?
What kind of work do I do?
Yeah, look at her. Make good eye contact. You're asking her, so listen. Not at me.
I know. Hi, good morning. I work for Saltillo, which is the company that makes your NovaChat device. I'm a speech therapist like Miss Nikki and Miss Richards. It's pretty cool, huh?
Huh. Is that cool names? Do you have another question for her? Okay, we can ask her one or two more questions and then we'll move on. Okay.
What's your favorite TV show?
What's my favorite TV show?
I like how you looked at her.
I like to watch, you know what, silly? I like to watch Jeopardy. Have you ever seen Jeopardy? Yeah. Hey, what's your favorite TV show?
Batman. Yeah, X-Men.
I don't understand that quite. I'm sorry, bud.
Okay, that's all right. You see?
My favorite movies are Men in Black, Iron Man, Hotel Transylvania, and Scooby-Doo.
And Scooby-Doo. Those are good ones. Those are your favorite movies. What's your favorite TV show?
My favorite TV shows are Wind-Up, Batman, Spider-Man, and X-Men.
Batman and Spider-Man. Very cool.
So that was them role playing. Sorry the video is breaking up. I don't know. But yeah, no, I don't know. But So, and that's all stuff that's pre-programmed, and it's just teaching somebody the back and forth with, you know, how to get that communication and then get that interaction. And, you know, I think that a lot of the kids like Drew that view themselves as talkers, they are some of the harder ones, I think, to work with, because their first thing is to talk, right? Which is good, but no one can understand them. So if you'll notice, they were doing a lot of cueing with his verbal skills too, to try to get his verbal skills up as he's also using the device, because he's always going to be talking. You're not going to ever quit, you know, working on his articulation, because that's his mode of doing it, but he just really needs to clarify if he's going to keep anybody in a back and forth, you know, communication more than one or two turns. So social closeness and etiquette, manners, that's where the girl said please, that's why that picture's up there. Teaching that, telling jokes.
That no other animal has.
What?
Kittens. What does a dentist call his x-rays?
What?
What?
Oh, you messed it up. Ooh.
Toothpicks.
Oh, toothpicks.
Now you tell one.
Now I'm supposed to tell a joke. I don't know any jokes.
I mean, you. Wanna hear a knock-knock joke?
Yeah.
Knock-knock.
Who's there?
Dwayne.
Dwayne who?
Dwayne the bathtub. I'm drowning.
That's just awesome.
So she totally gets it, right? She's like totally wanting this interaction. So the vocabulary that you're using, a couple of things is just to make sure that you're on, you know, that the vocabulary you have is the same mode of where the individual is. So if the individual is talking in, you know, 2 and 3 words, then make sure that they have the ability to put 2 and 3 words together on their vocabulary as they're doing there. If they're, you know, my name is Josh, if they're getting 4 words together, make sure they have that ability on there. And a lot of times you might want to have some of this stuff pre-programmed, right? Because you're going to want them to have faster communication to jump in there. So even though you're working on authentic word-by-word type of generative communication, you still want to make sure that they have the ability to say things fast so that they don't get left out of conversations. So vocabulary organization, this is how Saltillo has different vocabulary files, as they all of them do. So this is some of the organization. You can just have spelling. You can have sentences. So if you had, you know, words, this is what Drew was using, was this one where when he was hitting a button, it was saying the whole sentence in there. You can have phrases where you sort of chunk it up. Words where they're putting the thoughts together to make a sentence themselves. You can have a combination of that. So just kind of make sure that you know how your client's vocabulary is organized. This is a file that just sort of talks about how Saltillo's vocabularies, and these are all available in TouchChat and the Nova Chats. So like essence is, you know, it has spelling, sentences, and phrases, and it just kind of goes through there. So, yeah. Right.
So in the Nova chat, this section that where you can designate what chunk sentences is in the vocabulary section.
In the vocabulary section, it's going to list that first column, what they all are. It is not going to tell you how they are broken down. So that's going to be like on our webpage. There's stuff on that. There's.
Because I have, if it's a sentence, I just been programming. Is there a quicker way to do that? Or this is the pre-program.
Some of it is, but not all of it is. Yeah. Did I answer that? Kind of.
No, I think I understand. Right?
Okay, so if you, I'm going to show you on, like this is like word power 42, right? And so the top row up there, those are mainly your pre-programmed things to personalize. So like the social stuff would have most of your sentences, even though this is a word-based program. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Okay. Yeah.
Depends on the category.
Right. So there are trainings online with knowing just what's inside there. Plus there's webinars online that are already recorded you can download. Yes, at Saltillo.com. And you get ASHA credit on almost all of the webinars online. So. And I can do that too, I just didn't this time. So in your handout, there's a page in there that I want to show you that's like what you said. It's just kind of this blank, yeah, that one. Can you hold that up? Yeah. If you could get that page, what's the title on that? Does it say? Does it have a title? Okay. Because I don't know if they would know from my.
Authentic.
Okay. So for this, there's a column on there that says, what did you say? So if you would think about like this morning when you got up, the first 10 comments that you either said or text or gestured, the first 10 communications, or if you want to go backwards from right now before you came here and do the 10 things, just think of what words came out of your mouth or what meaning you had, what type of communication you had. Like for me, I just flew in, I had the rental car, I had those kind of things going on. So just kind of jot down what you said. So what you see up here is one of my coworkers, and when we were putting this together, these were her 10 things of the morning, and so if you have 8, 9, or 10, that's fine. So now on that page, figure out the function of your communication. You know, what were you, don't totally overthink this, because some of them will have a couple, but just sort of put the one in there that you think is what you were really doing. Like she was telling her husband that she could hear the baby birds, right? So the birds had hatched, and then she was exchanging information. So just kind of put a block by what you think that was. And then just sort of tally them up at the bottom. So this was her, what hers tallied up to, where she had just, I think it was only one or maybe two wants and needs, and then the social closeness and etiquette took a lot, and exchanging information took the most of what it was, right? So this is, again, Janice Light and other people, but the functions of communication over time. So they change as you're getting older, but they're really only going through school-age kids. But as an infant, of course, your wants and needs are going to be much stronger, right, as a very young child. And then elementary school, you're doing a little bit more exchanging information. And as you get older, you're really looking for those contacts, right? You really want that social closeness and etiquette. So you're really figuring out that you want to actually, have relationships with people. So that's kind of interesting when you're thinking about what you're working on with your individuals and what ages they are. And, even if intellectually they might not be at that part, their bodies are still, progressing to that part. So they're still really, when they're getting into high school, they're still really looking to be interactive with other people. So think about your clients and think about the people you're working with, and, are you making sure that they have that ability when they're communicating? We have a Spotlight of the Month, and this woman was on there, and she was speechless for 40 years. And, I think she was writing is what I think, but actually I don't remember, but you can read it. Also, there's a boy on the Spotlight from Weaver School District, right? So they're kind of fun to read, their stories that they do. So if you can find this handout, and you can work in groups if you have somebody here with you, or you can just jot down things. But think of an individual that you're working with and that you're trying to grow their communication. And it's client first, so think of like their age group, right? So, and what you think that their function should be. And choose just 4 out of that chart at the bottom, just 4 functions, and don't have them all out of the same one. Don't have it all wants and needs. But think of words or phrases or sentences that you can work on to help them be able to do that. So if you wanted somebody to work on greetings, right? So you would put social communication or just write greetings in the box and then write a couple of things that you could work on with them, that you could teach them how to, where it is in their language to work on that. So if you guys have, like you guys both know your daughter, so think of, you know, what kinds of communication you might want to be able to work on with her, and think of the different areas. If it's, you know, she's requesting attention, what kinds of ways would be appropriate for her to say, you know, hey, look at me. And social closeness, you might want to work on teasing, taking turns, commenting. So just jot down a little bit. The entire handout is posted somewhere, right?
Yeah.
So the entire handout is posted somewhere, so if you want extra copies of these, you can download it, or I can send it to you too, but So does anybody want to share a little bit? Do you want to share? Can you? Okay. Okay. No, and maybe tell us a little bit about your client or who you're thinking of, and then what you were, yeah.
I have a patient who has been using her device for 8 years and just recently has wanted to get a new version of her device. She's in college right now, about to graduate, and she has cerebral palsy, so right, and she wants to be able to go and give speeches to people to motivate them to navigate themselves and guide themselves. And then she also wants to be a kind advocate.
Good, yeah. So you got a lot, yeah, so tell us, yeah, because that's...
Okay, I knew this, that was pretty long. But in the wants
There's no wrong.
in the wants and needs category, request attention. So it's one thing that she finds very frustrating when she is giving these talks is, it's not like she can just yell into the mic. She does not have any voice at all. And so she needs something kind of, she used to try and start with something catchy, but she found that actually didn't work. But if she started with thank you, this is her. If she started with thank you for thanking people for being there, I guess that's like the #1 used phrase when people start a presentation. She looked that up on the internet on her device. Yeah, I don't know much about it, but so I just have thank you all for coming to listen to the speech.
Nice, yeah. Yeah, one more.
So as a client or patient advocate, she would have to speak with other providers or people within her client's environment, and so she will have to direct action for them. And I think one thing that she is kind of most concerned about is being able to communicate to other professionals what her clients need. So I just put once it needs direct action, my client would be to send them this information.
Good, yeah. Nice. Does she use a symbol-based, or is she typing things out mainly?
She actually uses Morse code.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. She uses an easy keys. We're trying to get her updated to the
Yeah.
She's been using it forever. We tried to look at some other things.
Oh, well, yeah.
She's in the third. So I miss. It's amazing. It's exceptional. I'm excited for her to get a new device with her. But she can create full speeches. Just right there in front of you.
So does that device have Morse code? How does she do Morse code?
So she calls them her buddy systems, but there's two kind of like head pieces on each side. And she just needs socket with.
So does anybody else want to share? You have this handout in your, that's what we're going to do.
I'll share them online.
Cool.
I didn't write it down because I wanted to save this, but it's in my notes.
Maybe a frequency over, but you I can hear you better online.
Oh,
With this?
I'll take that. Yeah, just set that there. It's a microphone.
Okay. So I have a student that uses a device. He just got a device a couple of months ago, and he thinks it's really funny to put in 30 different, or maybe even 50 words, and then he will push talk, and so it will say, la 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 la, and it will take 5 minutes to go through everything that he said. And then he laughs and thinks it's funny. And so I said yesterday, do you see anyone in here laughing? That's not funny. I said, that's not how people joke. And so I think he is wanting that social closeness, but I was trying to teach him the etiquette of an appropriate way to make someone laugh, because that's not funny and it just makes everyone mad. And then the teachers end up putting his device away and locking it up because he doesn't use it appropriately. So this is good to, so I tried to, I said, why don't we put some jokes? You want to put some jokes in there, and then you can tell some jokes to your peer tutors or to your teachers, and then everyone will laugh and think you're cool and funny. But when you do that, nobody's laughing. And so I'm just trying to teach him the appropriateness and etiquette of the funny stuff.
And are you on the show?
No, I was just having the microphone. That's what people online can hear.
Oh, okay. Well, I have this student who he had a major TBI about 3 years ago, and he was a typically developing young man, and it really changed his whole world. It's very sad. But one of the things he loves to do, he has this personality that's followed him, and he's a jokester. And so I people just let him joke with gestures and different things, because he only has about 6, 7 words he can speak. And then Katie said to me, well, how about if you have him tease and joke with words? And it didn't occur to me. I thought that's a great idea. That might be something he'd really like to do, because that's what he likes to do a lot. So like maybe teasing with words, something like, looks like pink is your favorite color, to a boy. Or is your hair long enough? Or glad you finally made it. Some joking things. Maybe he could comment, like some compliments, or like, hey, I missed you yesterday. Are you feeling better? Nice shirt. You're funny. You make me laugh. Maybe he could express his feelings, which he does like to do. I am tired today. You made me smile. You made me happy. And then we were talking about the gossip thing, because, gossip kind of has a negative connotation. And then we thought about, well, what if you said positive info about people, like about your friends? This was Katie's idea, too. Hey, did you hear Brandon went to Disneyland last week? Or just some positive things. He can still be talking about his friends, but in a positive way. And that might get some back and forth going. So those are just ideas because I think this boy really likes to have that social closeness. I'm done.
Okay, so we have finished functions of communication for now, and we'll get into environment. So environment is how and where we communicate, right? So when you think of the features of the environment, you need to think about who is communicating, and we're not just talking about the user. You're talking about everybody around them. What is happening, what's being heard around, what's seen, what's being felt around, and where the things are located. Where is the device? Where's the AAC user? Where's the communication partners, the person who most knows the device? And where are the objects that people are interacting with? So if you look at this, preschool, kindergarten room, and you'll see there's, a couple of kids playing, there's girls at the table doing some writing. The communication device is up on the shelf, right, being nice and safe there. And the user is over there, and I think that's probably the teacher or the communication partner who's standing there in the blue shirt. So what do you think about this? The communication device is nice and safe, right? I went to a preschool. It's a typical preschool, and it actually was in Steamboat, and they've never had a communication device in this preschool before. And so they were just starting with it, right? And they saw this and they said, well, it has to be up there. I mean, it's a $4,000 device. We don't want to be responsible for it, right? And it was so good that the parents were there at this, and the parents were like, no, you know what? He won't use it. He'll never go up there, leave his plane, and go up there and get it. So it's got to be close to him, and we're not going to hold the school responsible, if something, if you guys are being safe with it. And the devices are made to be with kids, right? I mean, you're not going to have it when they're running around in the playground usually, but to have it in the classroom, I mean, the kids aren't, throwing things around usually. So that was interesting with the family, and it was good that they were finally like, oh, okay, yeah. So it would probably be better, right, if the communication device was closer, and if the person in the blue is the person who's supposed to be teaching the device to him, if that person could come over and be closer too, right? So then they could sort of interact and show them how it happens. So this is another environment, and they're out at a restaurant, right? And it looks like they're ready to take their order, and the communication device is sitting in her purse, right? So she just needs a partner to help her. Okay, you can use this, put it out. And, she might even want to be talking with the other people. So now go back to your list. There was one of the, does somebody want to show them it was like the first 10 things that you said in the morning. Good. And then think of the environment and think of what in the environment prompted you to say this, okay? Like the birds hatched, she heard the birds outside, right? So when you look at your 10 things, what is it that made you say or text or communicate what you wrote down? So you can see Lisa's up here, what she, thought about. She was just talking to her husband, right? And one thing, she actually saw a reminder I guess that her husband was supposed to call his dad, so she put that up there. And then, when he's leaving, that's going to make her say goodbye to him, right? And so then she turns on her email, and then, it just kind of all goes back and forth, right? You're usually reacting to something is what's going to make you communicate. So that's why we need to set up some of the environment, right? Because it's your environment that makes you communicate. It's what's going on. So with our users, a lot of times we have to make things happen. Does anybody want to share anything there? Go on. So with your environment, there's also then, of course, the communication partner, right? So anyone with whom that somebody is interacting with is the communication partner. It doesn't have to be someone, who knows the device. It just can be anyone. It can be the parent. It can be the teacher. It can be a peer. It can be someone on the phone if you're using it that way. It can be somebody at an office building. So, okay, if a tree falls in the woods, does it still make a sound? Of course it does. Now, if a person is talking in the woods, are they communicating? They're not communicating, right? It's making sounds, but they're not communicating. So communication is a two-way process. You have to have a sender and a receiver. And the AAC intervention is not, you can't rely it just all on the individual, right? You can't just give them a device and then, oh, good, now, we got him fixed. We'll go on to the next one. So it's the communication partners have a lot to do with that. So if you look at some of these statistics, it's kind of really eye-opening that 8 out of 10 of the most frequent reported reasons for device abandonment was related to partner training and support issues. Now, I really wish that our insurance, the people who are buying the devices for them, they'll usually do training for the individual on the device, but they should really think of considering training for everybody around that user. You have, a lot of these, adults in group homes and stuff, and their staff is in and out, and they really need to be trained. So there was another one that said that the role of communication partners is crucial for getting positive outcomes out of the device. So, it's not the technology, it's not the device, it's the people around. Yeah.
Something that I noticed when you have a digital environment, not necessarily using that device, but I was for and so, for example, my dog can often shut off the device with a helper or a helper with the device.
Right.
And it's not often those two are found together and they're engaged with that device. So I think that I like to use it like because I feel like you think it's just given the device and you forget how important it is to have a partner, especially for someone who is stuck in the modeling stage right now, but she uses it primarily for class. And until other ways of communication are modeled with her, she's not going to be
right.
So it's not.
Right. Yeah, that's really important in that it's all together, the environment and the partner. Yeah.
I just think that I think that's a universal problem. I think something that done for you as a parent, I think if you maybe met with the teacher and the that you want important was to you, I think you can even if we could include it
Yeah, and just the more modeling that your daughter has, so that means the staff around her to be trained. So communication partner roles. So as a partner, what kinds of things does a partner need to do? Okay, assist in operational, there's the editing part of it, there's making sure it's charged all the time. Advocating, the fact that you guys are all here, that's like one of the big things that you're doing, right? You know, and that's really what you can do a lot for your daughter, right? Advocating, being there, making sure that the device is with the individual, establishing goals, monitoring progress. There is a relatively new thing in the Nova Chats, and it's data logging. I don't know if you've seen that. If you update the Nova Chat, it comes automatically, but you have to turn it on inside the device. And when you turn it on, you'll see in the speech display bar, you'll see a little zigzag thing that lets you know that the data logging is on. And there's two ways to get it. I love Realize Language. It is $84 a year. It's not a freebie. You can have 10 different accounts on it. You get so many visuals and cool things. It's not a Saltillo thing. It works with a lot of different companies. So, but Realize Language, you just, you know, make an account and then load your stuff up into it. But it's really nice. I like the fact that on the Saltillo devices, there's no like hidden thing if the data logging's on or not. It's going to be there, right? You will see it on there. So it's not like anybody's trying to, you know, catch the school not using it or the school trying to catch the home not using it. It's not that way because it's right there. And you don't know when you're data logging anyway. You don't know who's touching it. So it's, you know, it's really to see what is being done, because a lot of it would be modeling. They analyze on it, so they'll tell you the verbs that were used. You can see a little printout. It tells you like the words that are bigger are the words that were used more often. So, and then it kind of goes on from there. Inside the device, if you don't have a Realize Language account, inside the device you can just go to the My Files if you have an open device. And there's got to be a way to do it if you have a locked device, but I need to find that out. Because then you can go in there and you can just see the raw data. And the raw data tells you what buttons were pushed exactly. So, and if it's like 2 or 3 hits to get to this word, then it's going to have each hit that goes on that. So, yeah, so it's kind of interesting. They're doing some webinars on Real Language. I think if you just go on Real Language on their website, they'll tell you about it. So, okay, so the communication partner roles is to communicate and interact with the user and communicate in the same modality. Okay, so you really need to be using the device. You know, what you need to do is to learn the vocabulary, use it, and then teach it. How many of you had piano lessons? Okay. So for those of you who didn't have any piano lessons, if somebody gave you that, you know, music thing right there and set you in front of a piano and said, play this, right? It's not going to make any sense to you at all. So somebody has to teach you how to do it. So we've all worked with symbol sets. So follow this symbol set and do what it says. It's not a hard thing. Yeah, do it. Yeah, exactly. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. So, or just to your neighbor. Yeah. And give them a high five. Yeah, them is the pointing to it. So another thing for you to do is to watch some webinars, practice sentences on the device. These are a few of the webinars going on. So to be a good partner, they're saying that 15 minutes a day is really what you need to learn on a new device with a new vocabulary set, so that you, as you know, or the paraprofessional that's working with this student, if they can, and that's so hard because I know in the school district that I worked at, I mean, paraprofessionals don't have 15 minutes to sit down and learn something, right? It's they're with kids all the time. Their hours are actually on task with the kids, but if they don't know the language, if they don't know how to allow the kid to say, I want a high five, then they can't model it for them and they can't do it. So something has to give, right? So modeling is so important. Now, those of you who have had kids or been around little kids, when they're learning how to talk, you're modeling like crazy, right? You're, an infant starts saying, we're like, mommy, 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 right? And we're helping them say that word, and we're saying it all with ourselves. So then, if you're trying that same thing with somebody who's using an AAC device, if you're going, mommy, say mommy, and they have the device, that's not computing, right? One way is speaking with your mouth, and the other way is speaking with your hands. So it's going to be harder. So if you, if you model on a device, then it's going to be much easier for the individual to figure out what it is you're trying to get them to say. This is from Gail Van Tatenhove, and I think you guys had some trainings by her. A lot of you did. No? Go to her website. She's really got a lot of good stuff. She is like the queen of boxes and hiding things, and she can get kids to communicate that you didn't think ever would. But she did some, she calls it informal, but she's pretty much telling all the time the number of models that she had to do with somebody for their sequencing before she actually saw them do it themselves. So she was saying 50 to 125 times that she modeled without expectation, without saying, do it after me, right? Just modeling, just doing it in conversation before she saw them later on using the device. Now, 500 times is the number of times a student who talks and is just beginning to talk hears a word before they add that to their active vocabulary. So our kids look pretty good, right? But when you think about it, how much more verbally, of course, that the kids get, how many times they hear that word mommy before they say it. So what kinds of things do you model on a device? What you are saying to them, and also you can, model what they could say. If they're watching a movie and there's a fish drinking water, pretty silly, right? That's funny. Something you could model with it. I think there's so here is her modeling for the student to say my turn. Sorry, that one.
So, like, for example, if I was going to ask you a question, this is what I would ask. Who is in the play? That's what I would ask you.
Who's in the play?
Who's in the play? We could either say, you know, who's coming. If I say who's coming, then you could say Mom, right? And Dad. Mm-hmm. Are. We could say are again, or we could just say coming.
Coming.
Mom and Dad are coming.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. They will. Mm-hmm. Both.
So it's really just a learning situation where you're just modeling with them. I'm going to try one more time on that.
It's my turn.
My turn.
My turn. Now whose turn is it?
So, and that's a hard one, right? My turn, your turn? Because I think it's really hard. But you have to do it over and over. So you also can model syntax and pragmatics, right? If somebody says eat cookie, you can say eat more cookie. Just you're trying to expand what they're saying. You're trying to add on to their language. If they're just putting 2 words together, getting to say 3 words. And if they said, you know, eat cookie, they could say eat cookie, please. There's different ways you could do that. You can also help them with mistakes and repair, right? If they start talking and having the huge long sentence, uh-oh, you need to clear your display first. And operational use, model, also you need to model at their language label and model at their access. So, fast. Okay, so, and also their access level, which is really hard when you have a scanner, right? And they're just learning how to scan. So that's hard. But if they're just a beginning scanner, you've pretty much got to do that. It's just like if they are, you know, doing like 1 and 2 words, then you do it with 1 and 2 words. Yeah, I think it should be level, don't you? Not label, yeah. I think so. Right.
So I've always just touched it. But
right. But I think, yeah. I mean, Agaze is really direct select, right? So touching it is probably about the closest thing you're going to get to modeling that. Because really what you're showing them is how to get 2 places. Yeah. But like switching or auditory scanning is like really something that it's so hard and so different. What can you use to model? A companion device, you know, hopefully you can get one, you can borrow one. You can just grab their device and use it. You can have a low-tech version of it. On our website, there's a thing on making this little flip one. I can show you that later, but if you want to, you know, go to that extent, if there's a lot of people, your daughter, you might want to think about doing a low-tech thing for that. With the NovaChats, there's the Touch Chat app that is exactly the same. So you can, you know, hopefully get that. Chat editor. If you have a smartboard, the chat editor, there's a lot of schools that put that up in classrooms, and then you can model big for somebody. So in chat editors, free now online. I mean, you get it with a device and you can put it on as many computers as you want. It's always been like that, but now you can download it too. but it does just work on PCs. Chat editor is this. It's that. It's the chat editor. It's everything. So it has the whole library. It has everything. A lot of people use it to do their modifying, and you do your editing on it. You get the disk, but you don't have to use the disk, because that is really what happened. Is a lot of schools weren't letting people install it, and it seemed to be easier to have them download it. So that's why then we did the download, and now it's the same with Touch Chat. So. Yeah. So yes, you can just go to Saltillo's website here. Saltillo's website, I think it's under support. And if you just click on any device, then it's right here, new chat editor 2.0. And then it's going to answer all the questions about it. And I think, right here is the download. So you pick your language. And if you go to English, it's going to show you all of the downloads. And then it's going to have the chat editor version. There might be a faster way to find it than what I did. Oh, if you go to chat editor right here. Okay. Probably has it. Learn how to get it. It's also on the Touch Chat. Yes, it's on the Touch Chat website too. Here it is. Yeah. No, the editor only works on PC. It's a Windows-based. Yeah, it's a Windows-based, yeah. The app is $159, but you really want the word power add-on, so that's another $149, and the word power is another $149. Right. You can get the app, they call it it's not a trial version, it's a light version, right? And it doesn't talk. Okay, so it's really for somebody to learn it and find out about it, but it's not going to be able to, it's $10. You're not going to be able to use it as a communication device, right? Touch Chat. So in your handout packet, I guess I should go back to the slideshow. You have this, you have this let's practice. I don't know, it doesn't say let's practice on it, but you have this, which is sort of the 60, but she added a little bit more to it so that it's has a little bit more language, like the up on top. But just, think of a few sentences that you could say by using that. I think it's like one of the last pages in your handout. So if you wanted, or if you want to grab a device, you could do that too. I really like the 60 language because it has so much, Let me see if I can get it bigger. Because it has so many of the verbs, which the verbs is really what you're going to be using a lot when you're teaching somebody how to access the kind of the fun things on there. And so, with that, if you're not going to have on your sheet right there, you're not going to have the nouns, of course. But if you wanted to say, I finish, right? I drink, I need help. So when you hit the I, it's going to go to your next most commonly used words. And you can see that the middle verbs pretty much stayed in the same place when you're on the screen that's moving. So getting somebody, you can have any, you can make a copy of any device, the main page of it, and getting the people who work with your user, the paras, the whatever, to actually have this and actually be able to, use something with them. Because I know we don't have a lot of extra devices floating around. Prompting, I'm sure especially the people who are, my background is special ed, and I did a lot of prompting in school, right? You learn all about the prompting hierarchies. And so there's different, ways to do it, but you can either start at the top, which is independent, where you're giving nothing and sort of watch them going along and jump in right before they're right before, so you're not really doing it for them, or you can go to the bottom and start with the most prompt, the physical prompt. So the least prompt is just waiting, right? You're not doing anything, you're waiting expectantly, and you're making sure that you're quiet, you're making sure your eyes are on the individual, and you're waiting. We used to, in the classroom, we used to all count to 15 in our heads after we gave a direction to somebody before we jumped in again. Because, some of the students, the processing is just slower, and if you ask them to do something and you then think they're not responding, so you ask them in a different way, well, which one are they going to respond to, right? So it's interesting. Here's somebody that was waiting.
It's right here. Let's go. What would you like for me to do? Yeah. Okay.
You can see how hard that was for her, right? The therapist to do it, so not to jump in there. It's right there, touch it. There's verbal prompts. There's a direct verbal prompt. With that, you're actually telling them what to do, and that's like the most support of a verbal prompt. Telling them to turn the water on, tell them to say, my turn. And indirect is, when if you have them with you and they really, you think they really know, you can do the indirect, where you don't specifically tell them what to do, but you're going to say, like, what's next, whose turn is it? You're going to give them cues, but not actually tell them what to do. Another way to do indirect is to do open-ended questions. What do you want? What should we do? Who wants a turn? So here's a boy. This is all in Spanish, but it's written up there.
Yo, ¿cómo?
¿Qué comes?
Hamburguesa con queso. Hamburguesa.
So that was him being able to say it, but she just gave him a little prompt in there. So another thing to do is to think out loud. Who's going to pick the song? So you're kind of acting like you're not talking to the individual, but you're giving them the cues in a very nondescript way, right? Oh, Mr. Potato Head, his eyes are missing. I wonder where they are. Hopefully somebody will jump in there, right? Giving them the choices, thinking aloud. Is it time for lunch or recess? Providing choices is really a nice way when you're first, working with them, where you're not directing them, and it's not as threatening where they have to pull up something and then figure out, when you're just asking them, like, what do you want to eat? A lot of times that's a lot harder because they have to actually think of what they want to eat and then think of where it is. So if you just say, do you want to sit here or there? Or do you want to eat a hamburger or a Taco Bell? So do you want the red one or the green one? So there's a lot of ways to do that.
If you want to turn the page, you should tell me my turn. Or if you want me to, you should tell me go. Good words. I love hearing that.
So you're praising the peers so that you're taking the pressure off of the individual, but you're sort of hoping that they want to, be as good as the other kid and do it like the other kids did it, right? So doing a visual prompt, actually putting the sequencing up somewhere so that, they can figure out with those pictures, if they want to say to turn it on, those are the buttons that they would have to pick. Visual reminders in the environment, right? When you walk in the classroom, have a great big hello, and maybe then that'll visually prompt them when they walk in somewhere, they say hi to somebody. Highlighting buttons, that's another way to do this other than hiding buttons. You can highlight the buttons. It's not as easy as hiding. Hiding, you can just go to one setting and hide as many as you want. Highlighting, you have to highlight a button, button by button. So gestural prompts, moving towards it, but not really doing it. So creating opportunities. So creating opportunities is really setting up the situation so that somebody could communicate, right? So when you do this, you have to make sure that it's as authentic as possible, it's motivational, it's meaningful, and it's age appropriate. Okay, so the communication partners really are the ones who do this, right? The technology is just the tool. Again, it's not the device, it's the tool, it's the people around that need to do it. On that same sheet where you were writing down your sentences, this is another one of the therapists. It's her son, and down on the bottom of that sheet, it tells you to put down in the boxes, right, just to kind of tally what kind of communication it is.
What?
More muffins.
You need more muffins?
Happy.
You're happy? Those muffins good? Two muffins?
Yeah.
Are you a hungry boy?
Let's go. Car.
You don't want to go in the car?
Home.
What about home? You want to stay home?
No, Bobby.
You don't want to go bye-bye? You want to stay home?
What are you going to do?
Play.
You're going to play? What's Mama going to do? I'm going to stay home too?
Yeah.
Okay.
Daddy work.
Daddy's at work.
Mama home.
And Mama's home.
Daddy home.
When will Daddy come home?
No. No, Daddy, no, Daddy home.
No, Daddy's not home.
Daddy home.
Mila's home?
Airplane.
Oh, an airplane?
Airplane.
Where's the airplane?
Outside.
Oh, in the sky?
Want to see airplane?
You don't see the airplane?
Okay.
It's outside.
Daddy, see airplane.
Daddy sees the airplane?
Airplane.
Outside?
No.